بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's The Jewels of the Qur'an, Jawahir al-Qur'an, and we have reached Surah Al-Rum, the Romans, and we read some of the verses that Imam Ghazali chose, the jewels, if you will, and we spent some time reading from or basically even reflecting the very last part of the last session. We reflected on the verse وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The verse speaks about the creation of the amongst the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, amongst the ayat, is the creation of the heavens and the earth, the universe, but also the tongues, the various tongues, the differences amongst our tongues and our colors. These are signs pointing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed that these will be the way they are, the tongues, the languages, and the colors. And typically we speak about ethnicities today, but it's the color, and it's not the cultural background, it's the color. And this is why there was so much discrimination, and still is the case. The most discriminated continent is Africa, and when we say Africa, we mean south of the Sahara. All these African countries have been suffering from direct colonialism for a long time, and then indirect colonialism through all these treaties with the former colonial powers. And just as an example, I have read that these countries pay France, the ones that were colonized by France, they pay the France $500 billion a year. Why? But also when they immigrate because of poverty and even sometimes because of political unrest in their own respective countries, they end up in the Benelux and the suburbs of Paris, but they will continue to discriminate against. In the United States, we know the history of slavery practically from West Africa, and many of them, of course, were Muslims. The history is very clear about this, but all of them were forcefully Christianized, probably except for very few people. One of them was able to write a copy of the Qur'an from his own memory. But all the way to today, to the movement that became known as Black Lives Matters, where the use of brutal force and killing people because of their skin color is obvious. Color, as we have stated at the end of the last session, should not be a reason for discrimination. In fact, justice is is what we should advocate. People should be given a chance. There should be no glass ceiling for people of color. It's a very sad thing. At any rate, I have listened to Sheikh Hamza Yusuf from the Zaytuna College in California speaking about this particular about the tongues and the colors, the ألسنتكم وألوانكم, and he said something beautiful. He said that the language is divine. Of course, he's alluding to the fact that it was given to Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him the names of all things. We spoke about this a little bit in the last session. وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salam the names of all things, and he said so. Languages, the alsun, they are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the colors are earth based, since we have been created from earth. And the fact that language is this sublime, both of them, of course, tongues and talk about the tongues and colors. Both are, of course, by design. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who willed it so. But let me say something about the divine nature of the language. You are responsible for what you for how you use the language, and since if one wants to live up to the this divine, the very fact that it is sublime, that it is God given, one should use language only in fostering good, in advocating the good and prohibiting evil. Imam Al-Ghazali mentions 20 ills of the tongue, the banes of the tongue, a chapter in the Qur'an. 20 ills that one is capable of doing. I've read about an Andalusian scholar who listed 90 ills, 90 banes, 90 faulty uses of the tongue, of language. And of course, language, that's not only the verbal, in any form, written, sign language, whatever is the form, you are responsible for what you say. And as in the hadith, وهل يكب الناس على وجوههم أو قال على مناخرهم يوم القيامة حصاد ألسنتهم, aren't people thrown on their faces, or he said on their noses, on the day of judgment, except as the harvest of their tongues. So tongues are very dangerous. One politician might say something that could motivate people to do either good or harm, and people might respond to harm probably with those with the rise of these ultra right parties, especially in Europe nowadays. But it could be, of course, it's beyond that. And amongst his signs is your sleep during the night, and it says also the day. And this is something of his signs is your sleep by night and by day, and your seeking of his bounty. And that are indeed signs for people who listen. وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا. The night is meant for sleep. Of course, this is not. It does not mean that one should shy away from important work, like all these medical stuff that you expect to have at an emergency room in a hospital, but also every department and every section, every part of a hospital will have staff at night. These are important professions. People, the police, for example, firefighters. So these are essential, the essential jobs that will should always be maintained day and night, even during the Friday prayer. You don't leave the borders. You don't leave your the fire station. Um, if it's big enough, they can have their own Friday prayer, and if there's an emergency, they can hop into their fire trucks and do what they are supposed to do. And also amongst his signs is that he shows us the lightning, and lightning does inspire fear, but also hope in the sense of if it's followed by rain. And the water, the rain, it does quicken the earth after its death. When it's dry, its death. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help the people of Bangladesh. Uh, Many, maybe like 5 districts with many villages have been flooded because, from what I've read, India opened the dams, areas that suffered from drought, and now they are flooded. Literally, its water is so high that hardly they can. People who walk in the flooded area, they hardly can keep their heads above the water. So the rainy season is a season of hope, but of course, it entails sometimes the power of these lightnings. You talk about millions of volts. If it's sometimes when it strikes a massive tree, it knocks it down. Houses are knocked down, and if they are associated with tornadoes, uh, you expect real damage, especially where houses are built from wood, and usually not solid wood. And I've seen a place near Cincinnati where a tornado passed, and literally the houses were wiped out. There remain only the foundation you could see, only the foundation. People were found like a mile away, uprooted along with the houses. Subhanallah. But the idea is you have life and death in the arid, dry land, and then you have water, and then it comes to life again. A reminder of the temporal life. In fact, for every single thing, animate and inanimate, there is a term assigned to each. The heavens and the earth of his signs is that the heaven and the earth stand firm by his command. Then, when he calls you to come forth from the earth, that is the grave, of course, the people who are buried, at once, Lord, you will come forth. It's a day of resurrection. It's a day of reckoning. It's a day of accountability. And definitely that people will be busy with their own selves. Elsewhere, the Quran speaks about people will shy away, like they will run away from spouses, siblings. One would wish to ransom herself with everyone else in their life, Subhanallah, parents are not mentioned there. It's a um, it's a sign of respecting really the parents. Their status is very high, of course, in Islam. And if one is going to be busy only with whether he or she will be forgiven or not, then why not start here in this life and reform your life, change course, uh, tune your behavior according to the ethics, morality. Remember the hadith of Aisha anha when she was asked about the Prophet's manners and etiquette, and she said, "Kana khuluqul Quran," an embodiment of the ethics presented in the Quran. And everyone in the heavens and the earth, of course, they are obedient. To him belongs everything, of course, in the universe. And it's very, is it childish? I don't think it's childish when children say, "This is mine," uh, and we tell them when they are young to share. Uh, but do we really share, and do we realize that what we have practically does not belong to us? Theologically, it does not belong to us. And on the practical level, uh, it's going to, we are, pass this property or that thing, or it will pass hands from one generation to the other if it remains in the family. It's a sad story, really. Sad story of a sad story of humanity. They fight for that which is ultimately finite, and you can only hold it for a short while, and it will distract you and will keep you busy from from tending to the reason why you have been created, why you have been created. To him belongs whoever is in the heavens and the earth, all are obedient to him. He it is who originates the creation and then repeats it, and it is easiest for him. Uh, this is because we have small minds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals this verses because we have small minds. We poor thinking that it's going to be difficult to resurrect people, to forgetting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created all of us. Everything is in a book. Um, everything is in a book. The preserved tablet. And since everything is by design, even your genome is in a book. That which makes you an individual is in a book, not only your genus. He is the most exalted similitude in the heavens and the earth. He is the Almighty, the All Wise. God is He who created you, then He provided for you, then He will cause you to die, then He will bring you to life. Is there any of your, of course, alleged partners? Is there any of your partners of God that you associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who can do any of these things? Glory be to him. High be he exalted above that which they associate with him. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of his signs, it is that he sends the breezes as heralds of good fortune, that he may grant you of his mercy, that vessels may sail at his command, that you may seek of his bounty, and that you may be grateful. The breeze, really, it's the winds. ومن يأتي أن يرسل الرياح مبشرات وليذيقكم من رحمته. They basically they drive the clouds, but also they are essential for originally when you talk about when people relied on sails, and they still do. There are technologies today, and they try to harness the winds to you know to sail even larger ships. And these, of course, these winds also they cause certain currents. Also, the winds, one might not realize that there are favorable routes when you fly in aeroplane. Try to find more about this issue. Pretty much like when you are driving a car on Earth. There are certain roads that are smooth, and there are certain places that are they might have potholes and rough terrain, and it's the same thing considering the movement of the air. And remember also later on when people traveled also using the balloons. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who sends the winds that stir up clouds, which He spreads in the sky as He pleases, and which He shatters. Then you see the rain issuing forth from their midst, when He causes it to fall on whom He pleases of His servants. Lo, they rejoice at it, although before its coming down on them, just before that, they were surely in despair. Observe then the token of God's mercy, how He quickens the earth after its death. Surely He is the one who will quicken the dead on the day of judgment, and He has the fullest power over everything. And the last jewels, if you will, in this selection, God is He who created you in a state of weakness, and after weakness He gave you strength, and after strength He caused weakness and old age. He creates what He pleases. He is the all-knowing, the all-powerful, omniscient, and omnipotent. Being created in a state of weakness, all babies, all children are weak. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills that we have strength in general. Most people will have strong years of youth, and then again your graphic chart will show dwindling strength, and you become feeble, and also old age literally is associated in a sense also with the gray hair. When it says an old age, the washayba, ضعف, old age, the gray hair are signs. Not, sometimes the people are very young and also they have gray hair, but it's the weakness of old age. An amazing thing is that Ibn Khaldun in his Muqaddimah likened the state to these phases of the human being. A state is born weak, it has its own years of strength of youth, then it becomes old. And thus, all these world powers of the past who ruled over swaths of land that are very far from the original countries, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Dutch, the French, even the Belgium. Belgium left 15 million victims in Central Africa and the Democratic Republic of Congo. 15 million victims, claiming it, a private state for their king. Many things happen. So all those who and we had the empire, Britain, all over the world really, and you can see the UK today in a state of weakness, relative, but still a state of weakness. And they talk about, at least for a few years after the fall of the Soviet Union, and all these Fukuyama's end of history. No, it's not the end of history, and the unipolar world is coming to an end. There are new kids on the block. As Muslims, we should not be very happy if one world power is replaced by another, where their concept of international order is realist, based on power and not on morality and ethics and principles. Inshallah, this is enough for this particular session, and in the next one, inshallah, we'll read the 8 verses from Surah Luqman that Imam Al-Ghazali chose. Until then, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.